And the stream is live. Looking at space weather, hilarity, and various other things. On this Memorial Day, we wish you a safe one. And thanks to all of those folks who served in the military or who are currently serving in the military. We appreciate it. De oppresso liber. All right, since we have about 94 tabs open today, we're going to get right to it here as we see this plage further degrading as forecasted yesterday. No sunspots. And that's cycle 24 plage right there, just regular polarity. Nothing to write home about. Let's look at 171 angstroms, and this is the last 9 hours and 15 minutes. There you have the 171 angstroms view. Again, this is a little over 9 hours. There are some filaments, and they're pretty small. We'll look at them in a minute. First, let's look at 304 angstroms before we start screwing around big time. Please let your peeps know. Thanks for posting the video on places like Facebook, smAsho staff. All right. Anyway, there's a 304 angstroms view. We do see some filaments. Nothing really to write home about. And let's look at magnetic lines real quick in 193 angstroms. And we do see a large coronal hole. Something doesn't look right there. That looks like old data, folks. That's an old data. I don't know what's going on with that. Anyway, here's the last 48 hours and 193 angstroms. And we see that coronal hole rotating out to the Earth-facing region. We also did see a bit of plasma show up. That was one of those coronal mass ejections. A little bit of ejecta seemed to have hit. There was a density uptick over the night, and it caused a little bit of geomagnetic unrest there. Nothing really to write home about. I would also note some interesting filaments up here on the north. There's one right there. And a few right there must have just collapsed. And it does look like they flatten out there. Anyway, let's move on here as there's a lot of stuff to cover. All right, so we saw some major perturbations in the BTBZ right here. And this was just after this uptick in the solar wind density, where it quadrupled. Went from like 4 to 18 or something like that. And it's subsiding a little bit now. I believe that's a coronal mass ejection. There is a coronal hole wind stream on the way also, expected to hit within a day or two. So don't be surprised about continued perturbations in this. I would also note that the BZ has dropped into negative territory, and it is appearing to get back toward the zero line. So earthquake risks should be subsiding a little bit. Let's look at the magnetosphere movies to archive a little data. All right, so there's the velocity. And we're seeing some minor striations there in the velocity. Nothing really to be concerned about, obviously. And we do see a little bit of eccentricity there in the magnetosphere, where it is not looking too symmetrical right now. Here's a density. Keep in mind the white is low density and the blue is high density. We do see some asymmetry here as we approach the solstice. And we will be doing a live stream on the solstice. So stay tuned for that. Although, got about a month until that happens. A little under a month. Finally, we'll look at the pressure, and you will see some disparities here. Probably an indication that the solar wind is coming in a bit from the south. You know, coming in at, oops, that's the wrong one. Coming in at an angle kind of like this. Anyway, study your magnetohydrodynamics. Now we see some significant ground perturbations here, so let's document that. Now this is 4 hours of data, courtesy University of Michigan Geospace model. Anyway, here's the view from the poles. We see significant perturbations there in the south. Looks like a Birkeland current, because indeed it is a Birkeland current as the South Pole creeps toward the southern Indian Ocean, toward Western Australia. And once again, as we typically do, we see the main perturbations in the north over the Canadian pole as opposed to the Siberian one. Here's the view from the globe. We'll let that play through for your viewing pleasure. Major perturbations there over northern Canada, Baffin Bay, etc. A place that remains frozen solid. Also big perturbations over the entire Pacific Ocean, including Hawaii, and over South America. So big perturbations over the last 4 hours. Let's look at the electron content, and it's going to be low because the current situation is what we would call proton light here on this channel. And so your GPSs should be working very nicely here, even at the equator, until conditions change. So check out smashomash.org, by the way, if you haven't done so. And the mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics to raise the awareness of the general public of space, weather, and Earth effects, to connect with and consult media organizations, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof of concept solutions to problems. And we will be doing a video later today on the gardening situation, to publish scientific papers, to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomena, etc., and to not be ossified in our beliefs. Pretty basic. So please support us via the links, as we are a growing channel and every little bit counts, which is why our Patreon is only set at $1, because you will get into Patreon for $1 a month. And you won't find much content there, but it's coming. Also, check out our cycling sponsor, theveloshop.net. And if you're looking for, I don't know, fenders for your prepping bike, well, they've got the full range here, including quick release ones, all kinds of great fenders, ones that are designed with aerodynamics in mind. If you're not familiar with me as a cyclist, I'm a real aerodynamics nerd. If you want to sponsor the entire team, that could be a thing even this year yet. Email me at smashomash@gmail.com, and I will get you in touch with the owner of the shop, Becky Quinn. And this is what I look like when racing on the track. Now, I was disqualified during this event for not wearing a helmet. Just kidding, folks. That's just my head photoshopped on a teammate. That's actually me there. So anyway, if you're a corporate sponsor, or if you know any who would like to sponsor the sport of cycling in a huge cycling mecca known as Drexlertown, this is what the billboard's going to look like once I've got a number pinned. And I've been doing this at a high level since about 1999. So again, email me smAsho@gmail.com if you want to sponsor the team, which looks nothing like this anymore as Bikeline has been absorbed by another company. So my bike won't say Trek and my gear won't say Bikeline. It'll say The Velo Shop. Again, please fund us via the links in the description below this video. Now, we've got a lot of links in the description. Here's a synoptic map of the sun. And we see if there's a filament here and there's a filament here, no big deal. There's no kind of sunspots. The coronal hole is rotating out of the Earth-facing zone. So we're expecting a wind stream from that soon. Check out spaceweather.com for some good information, including the noctilucent cloud monitor. So we see a little uptick in noctilucent clouds there. And I would note that they also have the thermosphere index and that the 10.7 centimeter radial flux has come back up to 68. So back off the solar minimum lows. And for that, we thank you. Let's look at spaceweathernews.com to see that the X-rays are flatlined. And major spikes in the magnetometer. That's because of that incoming proton density. And KP is sitting pretty at 3 there. So we see the standard dip that we see in the electron flux, usually accompanied by increased solar wind density. And that's no surprise because those protons really want electrons. So we see very minimal hazards for charging here, only over Central America, actually a little over Florida there. No big deal. And the F2 layer is looking discharged on the nighttime side and pretty normal on the sun side. Let's continue on before we're old and gray, as there is so much stuff to do. Here's the Gong 2, which has been really helping out with forecasting stuff that nobody else is able to. So here we are at some data that's 1 hour and 51 minutes old. And we're pretty much seeing what was forecasted here. Nothing to write home about. Let's go to stereo A. Not stereo B, as it has been broken down since 2014 due to a hardware anomaly. Was it because an alien spacecraft docked with it and stole its technology like the Borg? We may never know. I don't think so. It probably got hit by solar radiation. And nothing going on out there. Let's keep it moving before it stagnates, because stagnation is death, folks. Stagnation is death. So don't stagnate. Go out and do something difficult today, such as understand where Uranus is and where a hole in the ground is. Now, I'm located in the place that gets sinkholes, and we expect to see some as the ground is still oversaturated here in eastern Pennsylvania. Is the ground oversaturated where you're at? Let us know in the comments. All of nobody who's commenting. All right, let's move on to star charts. As if you get up before light, which it doesn't seem like you have, viewers, go have a look at the ecliptic. And you should see things like Saturn, Jupiter, the moon, and Venus just rising. Check it out. That's going to be a good one. We may take some video of this morning before we go out and pedal a bike. Not sure. We're going to leave you in suspense. Follow us on Instagram. Now, here's some of our proof of concept stuff. Just take 1 minute to view this. Now, this is an organic egg crate where we cut 2 cells out and just packed soil in there and put a seed in each one. This actually works as a technique, folks. And we're going to document this later today. Now, there's our windowsill. We've got, these are bean sprouts, here's an aloe, and there's those 2 cells out of the egg crate that I used as sprouting containers. There's a close-up of the aloes. And here are some red bell pepper sprouts that we grew in an egg crate. Now, we will eventually take this outside. There are holes cut in the bottom of this so it drains. We will take this outside and cut these cells out and then cut them in half and drop these in the ground. And there's a lilac cutting from the lilac bush. Also, if you've never seen the movie Kill Point, check it out on YouTube. It's so good.
If you've never seen this movie, Kill Point from 1984, as reviewed by Red Letter Media, it is indeed a classic. And I highly recommend you check it out. It's on YouTube for free. That's how bad it is. It's so bad, it's good. Oh, yeah. So bad that it is so good.
Cameron
You
Mitchell.
will love it. Kill Point, 1984.
It's Cameron
Or maybe
Mitchell.
buy it on Betamax.
Talk about some cheesified movies. You want to talk about Cameron Mitchell? Oh my gosh. Anyway, follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/smashomash, a property owned by Facebook, who will most definitely censor you if given the opportunity. Also follow us on Twitter and share with your Twitter-only colleagues, as many people only use Twitter as their social media. Also check us out on facebook.com/smashomash. Also, that doesn't count as speaking in tongues. Don't get superstitious. Also, follow us on minds.com, the social media network that will not censor you. Minds.com/smashomash. Here's yesterday's video. And we talk about tariffs and all kinds of stuff, economic and otherwise. Today, no economic stuff. So please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't figured that out yet. I don't know what to tell you. Please press the notification bell, as you probably still won't receive notifications. But if you don't try, if you don't strive for perfection, you won't even get close. Earthquakes, 4.9 Indonesia, 4.6 at Peru, 4.3 at depth of Mexico. Heads up southern Mexico for a larger quake at the surface around Palomares. Here's a 4.3 at Chile. A little north of the location where that 8.0 downgraded to a whatever it was downgraded to occurred yesterday. Here's a 4.1 in Afghanistan. As the Middle East earthquake swarm continues, each day we seem to see one quake in the Middle East at least. Shout out Afghanis. 5.1 in the Solomon Islands. Here's a 4.9 at Japan. 4.7 in Indonesia. 4.6 at Japan. I would note that there was a 3.1 at Oklahoma. And let's get back to where we were. Please click. I swear I clicked, folks. I swear I clicked. Here's a 4.7 in Indonesia, and I'll click again there too. I guess I gotta just bear down on the button. Listen to my clicking. Here's a 4.6 at Japan. There we go. Now it works. I just have to mash the mouse button. Logitech, I'll get you. Here's a 4.7 in the Congo at a very odd spot, rare spot for a quake, 4.7 South Central Africa. Here's a 4.6 at 518 kilometers depth at Fiji Islands. Heads up Fiji for a larger quake at the surface there. Here's a 4.5 at Russia, just south of Kamchatka. 4.6 Mariana Islands. 4.9 at nearly 600 kilometers at Fiji. And let's move on to the pressure maps, courtesy windy.com. We're just going to let this play through and draw in the earthquake risk zones, which are these areas. And these areas. If you're there, please have a plan for a disaster, as the drought really does continue. Even that 8 magnitude quake was at depth. So it looks like a low pressure is bearing down on South America. As you can see, as Wednesday approaches, this series of lows is creeping up on South America. That is an increase in your earthquake risk as that model plays. If you're not familiar with earthquake forecasting, we're not going to cover it, except to say, have a plan. Volcano rundown. Abico back on the list, producing a 10,000-foot ash plume. Cinnabung still producing a 16,000-foot ash plume after producing a stratospheric eruption 2 days ago. Dacono, explosive activity continues with a 7,000-foot ash plume. Reventador producing a 17,000-foot ash plume. Uptick at Sabancaya producing a 27,000-foot ash plume. Please do not attempt to defrag your hard drive over the top of that caldera. Check out iceagefarmer.com/map and then tell your friends about all the global crop losses, as food prices are going to go up. You may want to inform people, as this is a fairly horrifying map if you understand the economic implications. Let's look at, I don't know, how about France? I know France got hammered. So let's see if we can see that hailstorm from last year. I think I may have some articles to add to your crop loss map, Christian. This one from 2017. Global wine production is expected to fall to its lowest in more than 50 years. Has it happened yet? Are you experiencing crop losses? Are you experiencing late plantings? Let us know. Why? Because of historic snow in the Northern Hemisphere 2 years in a row. This year exceeding the last. So the winter of 2017 to 2018 was the most snow on record. And then this past winter, 2018 to 2019, also the most snow on record. And so as epic snow melt happens, a bunch of rain falls all in the same spot, and the central US is flooded as plantings continue to be delayed. So we see warnings all over the place. And I would also note that we see freeze warnings in northern Maine, as well as southern Maine, northern New Hampshire, northern Vermont, Massachusetts, no, not Massachusetts, but northern Vermont and New Hampshire, frost advisories, and yeah. We also see flash flood warnings in southern Kansas, all kinds of flood warnings down here. We see red flag warnings. So quite a bit of disasters being forecasted here by National Weather Service. Weather.gov. U.S. Doppler radar indicates that there's still some snow falling in places like Wyoming, Utah, and Nevada, as well as southwestern Colorado. Let's look at these storms hitting Nebraska and Kansas right now. Tony Heller, let us know how Toto's doing. Has Toto been swept away in a tornado? We're hoping not. Shout out Tony Heller for providing actual data. By the way, at least 2 people killed in El Reno, Oklahoma, and 29 others injured after extensive damage caused Saturday night. Anyway, there's those storms. That, man, oh man, that's some serious storm fronts once again there, making their way into Iowa and northern Missouri. And there's another storm following this one in southern Kansas, heads up. All right, let's move on here, as there's still a lot of stuff to cover. So stay tuned. Now, if you're out on a boat right now off the coast of Virginia, please be very careful, especially if Mark Wahlberg or George Clooney are on the boat. There's a lot of lightning. There's nothing worse than seeing hunks struck by lightning. Ground yourself. And if you hear weird noises behind you, don't end your live stream as a result. Just make sure there are rounds in the shotgun and you'll be fine. Shout out Kansas City. It's on the way, Kansas City. You are in the crosshairs. Get ready for the lightning. You may think the first round missed. The second round is probably going to hit. If you're not familiar with lightningmaps.org, check it out. Atchison and Lansing. Oh, we got some big bolts hitting. That was a quadruple strike right there. Out of 1 liter bolt, undoubtedly. And let's look at the water vapor map for all you weather pornography enthusiasts. We're only going to go to that spot because there are still about a dozen tabs to cover. And there you have the atmospheric river, which, depending on where you are, might look like an atmospheric waterfall. Thanks, viewers, for attempting to understand the difference between a mule and a sinkhole. Transcribe that, comma, Google, period. Now, one thing we would never do is misgender a donkey. We would not try to misgender anybody on this channel. As to misgender somebody is to promote evil. What's the point of today? It's to commemorate all of our fallen soldiers. So cheers. Thanks for your service. Give a toast to somebody today. And here's a toast to Brave Browser, whose mission is to fix the web, as there are a lot of companies trying to ruin it and a few trying to fix it, such as DuckDuckGo. The search engine that will not store your personal information, will not follow you around with ads, and will not track you in or out of private browsing mode. DuckDuckGo.com, a real search engine which will return objective results. Let's skip transients and head to a popular science article. A bad diet can really raise your risk of cancer. Here's how. Diet is super important. If yours is screwed up, start fixing it by making small tweaks. We've got links to the description, links to the article in the description. Let's look at a featured channel which will help you with this. Dr. Berg, Dr. Eric Berg. And it's a good channel. It's one of our officially endorsed channels, talking about a lot of good stuff. Over 2 million subscribers. Maybe we'll see if we can interview him sometime. And yeah, it's a good channel, talking about intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet and all kinds of other stuff you may not yet know. Let's go to a History Channel article from April. Galileo is convicted of heresy. On April 10th, 1633, Chief Inquisitor Father Vincenzo Maculani del Fredientolo, appointed by Pope Urban VIII, begins the inquisition of physicist and astronomer Galileo. He was ordered to turn himself into the Holy Office to begin trial for holding the belief that the Earth revolves around the sun. Links to that article also. If you weren't aware, it's true. It's true. Oh no, we're quoting Kurt Angle again. U.S. gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, turned pro wrestler. I would invite you to check out Sky Scholar, somebody attempting to advance things like astrophysics and unified theory. Let's talk about star formation and how galactic collapse, gravitational collapse isn't a thing. Let's put it to a random spot and let Dr. Robitaille take it away. Gravitational collapse isn't real. It's made up in a limited toolbox of astrophysical phenomenon, and this is just random. There are links to the Sky Scholar channel in the description.
And that's also a clear sign of error. So gases cannot self-compress. They must expand to fill the void. That's what we see in the laboratory.
Talking about the way observations don't back up astrophysics. So let's move on. Now, we've got some Jerusalem artichokes. We're going to document this later today. These things come out of the ground like a rocket. If you live in a cold place, it doesn't matter if it's wet, dry, high pH, low pH, salty soil. These things love the cold. They don't care. Jerusalem artichokes, check it out. Growing tubers is awesome. If you're not familiar, learn how. We might give you a little help later today. Let's talk about the largest seed in the world, which is also the largest nut in the world. The Lodoicea. Lodoicea, I believe is how it's pronounced. It's basically a double coconut. It's super weird. It's from Seychelles. If you're not familiar with Seychelles, it's the world's leading financial clearinghouse. If you want to hide some money, you used to do it in a Swiss bank account. Now you do it at Seychelles, located north of Madagascar, just north of the African Rift Zone. If you go there, you may find earthquakes. Now let's go to some comedy. We're all made of stars. Moby. I laughed and laughed when this album came out in 2002. Moby is back in the news. And it's funny. So Moby, the techno artist, here's a clip from We're All Made of Stars. It's a stupid song. It's literally about the fact that it's literally about the scientific principle that all matter in the universe is essentially made up of stardust. Because apparently Moby was not aware of this until 2002, when he was like 30 years old. We thank you, Moby, for cracking an astronomy textbook, finally, by the year 2002. Anyway, Moby's back in the news because he didn't bang Natalie Portman, but he did pen an apology. So let's consult leftist rag Rolling Stone magazine. I fully recognize that it was truly inconsiderate of me not to let her know about her inclusion in the book beforehand, and equally inconsiderate for me not to fully respect her reaction. Beta recording hack Moby apologizes to Natalie Portman for suggesting that they had some sort of a romantic relationship and to not fully respect her reaction. I guess maybe he was concerned that he was only going to partially respect her reaction. Anyway, apparently he first met her in 1999 when she was 18, which he claimed she was 20. His music sucks too. And yeah, he wanted to be a singer, but he's got a terrible voice. Sorry to hear that, Moby. Anyway, Portman's response was, hold on, the response is hilarious. The response was that he was a old 30-plus-year-old guy creeping on somebody 18 years old. I was surprised to hear that Moby characterized the very short time that I knew him as dating, because my recollection is a much older man being creepy with me when I had just graduated high school. Captain, sensors indicate that Moby has a heaping helping of crap emanating from his keyboard. Just saying. All right, let's get back to the sun here, as this live stream is complete. So drink a beer, eat a burger, eat a hot dog, whatever, in honor of your favorite fallen military veteran. We may do an interview with my grandfather, as he is a World War II veteran. It could happen. No promises. Meant to go to 94 angstroms. Go to this, open up the chat. Matt Williams says, I should do my show at about 6 p.m. my time. I'd get a lot more viewers. Well, that would be great, except there are actual reasons why we do this show at this time of day and not at 6 p.m. And it's because we don't only beat mainstream news to the punch, we beat mainstream news to the punch by seconds, minutes, hours, weeks, months, and indeed years. So anyway, here's the last nearly 10 hours of the sun at 94 angstroms. I would note this coronal hole rotating out and that we are out of here. So enjoy your day. Please leave a comment. Please press the notification bell, as that will not ensure your ability to find our videos. I don't think Eric Schmidt likes us too much. I don't think Eric Schmidt likes us, period. So Google, comma, transcribe that, period. Anyway, remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink. And if you drink, stare at the sun anyway. And just don't drive. Seriously, don't drive. The cops will get you, and I will laugh at you. So in any case, since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.